Everyone assumes the guy who started lifting after the breakup is healing, that it's pure willpower finally kicking in, that it's resilience, that he turned pain into discipline, that he became a stronger and better version of himself. But what if he isn't healing? What if what everyone calls strength is, in reality, just a very well-disguised escape? At 5 in the morning, in a nearly empty gym, there's a guy lifting weight he couldn't have even dreamed of before. Our contact isn't saved in his phone anymore. The bed has a side nobody's slept on in months. And he keeps lifting. The question nobody asks about this guy isn't how much he lifts. It's what, exactly, he's trying to lift himself out of. Let me introduce you to an archetype you've probably seen before. Maybe you are him. Maybe you know one very well. He was in a relationship. It ended. And within weeks he was at the gym before the sun even came up every single day. 6 months later, he's a physically different person, stronger, more defined, visibly transformed in every way. But emotionally, this is where it gets complicated. Because the body changed. The original wound, not so much. This video isn't about fitness. It's about what happens inside a man's head when the ground disappears beneath him. And about why the gym becomes, for so many men, the only place in the world where things still make any sense at all. The central question: why does the pain of a breakup turn so many men into people completely obsessed with the gym? And more importantly, what is the gym actually doing for them? Is it healing, a symptom, or is it actually a trap? The real reason isn't motivation. It isn't discipline. It isn't the classic story of turning raw pain into pure fuel. The real reason is an identity collapse. A total, deep, silent collapse that is almost always invisible to everyone. When a relationship ends, the brain doesn't just lose a person. It loses an entire version of itself along with her. The man who was her boyfriend, who appeared in the photos, who had plans for the weekend, that guy no longer exists. And the brain treats this as a real loss, not metaphorical. Neurologically equivalent to losing a part of yourself. Research by Eisenberger and Lieberman from 2003 showed something deeply disturbing using brain scans. The same brain regions that process physical pain activate during social rejection. A breakup literally hurts. It isn't weakness. It isn't drama. It's biology. The brain treats rejection like a wound. And wounds demand treatment. Movement becomes a painkiller. The gym becomes the place where the pain has an exit that isn't just inside his own head, but something more specific is happening. Something beyond relieving pain. Something about what was destroyed. There are 3 interlocking mechanisms that form what I'd call the golden trap of the post-breakup gym obsession. The first is control. In relationships, effort didn't guarantee results. You could do everything right and still lose. At the gym, the rules change. Effort always produces results. For a brain that lost all control, this becomes addictive. For a brain that just lost all control, having one domain that always responds to effort feels almost like a drug. The second mechanism is dopaminergic reinforcement. The post-breakup brain is starving for any positive feedback at all. The dopamine loops from the relationship, her approval, the conversations, the physical contact, dried up overnight. And the gym offers a precise substitute. Visible, measurable, incremental progress that repeats itself every single day. Oinkle. The third mechanism is the deepest one: identity substitution. I am someone who lifts becomes the new concept of self. Where I am her boyfriend used to be, there's a massive void now. And the brain needs to fill that void with narrative. The gym offers a new identity that's clear, objective, with visible results in the mirror. It's perfect for that role. This isn't weakness. It's the brain seeking structure after chaos. But intelligent coping can still become a trap. At some point, for many men, the internal narrative shifts. The shift is subtle, but it changes absolutely everything. It stops being I'm improving for myself and becomes I want her to see me and feel like leaving was a huge mistake. The revenge body has a specific psychological structure. The target audience of the transformation isn't him. It's her. And this is a profound externalization of self-worth. When you need someone's regret just to feel valuable, when you do, you're outsourcing your self-esteem to the exact person who already decided that you weren't enough for her in the end. Crocker and Park, in 2004, called this contingent self-esteem. Worth depends on external validation, and the cruel problem with the revenge body is this: it deepens the wound it promises to heal. Always. No exceptions. The more you lift for her to see, the more you keep her at the center of your story. The more you stay in the breakup. The body gets stronger. The ego gets more fragile. Because the ego now depends on approval that may never actually come. And even if it does come, research on rumination shows real satisfaction lasts far less than what the fantasy promised. And yet, even knowing this, most men don't stop. Because something even deeper is happening beneath all of it. One of the most common things men say after a painful breakup is this: I want to become completely unrecognizable. And that phrase reveals a deep truth. The desire isn't to improve the old self. It's to erase it and start from nothing. The gym becomes a rebirth ritual, a process of destruction and reconstruction of the self, almost anthropological. Victor Turner described liminality, a state of being between two selves, with no fixed identity yet established. The post-breakup man is in that liminal state. No longer who he was. Doesn't know who he'll be. The gym is the ritual. The process has 3 clear stages. First, destruction of the old identity of the man he was inside that relationship. Second, construction of a new physical container. The new body as proof that the old version of himself is truly gone. Third, the search for a new social role: protector, desirable man, self-sufficient. Something to replace what was lost. And why is the body the central site of this reconstruction? Why not career, friends, or hobbies, or something else? Because the body is immediate, visible, and undeniable. Nobody argues with a mirror. The result is there, concrete. The gym promises an answer to the question the breakup created. Am I enough? The mirror says yes. The barbell says yes. This phase feels like healing, and sometimes it is. But for many men, what comes next isn't freedom. It's a new prison. Without real emotional processing, the gym becomes a displacement mechanism. The pain doesn't disappear. It relocates. Sets, reps, macros, body fat percentage. Every detail controlled. Every number optimized. The original wound untouched. The pattern clinical psychology identifies. The man builds an extraordinary body and still feels completely hollow because he never actually went after the original wound. He went after the body. And the body isn't where the wound is. The obsession with optimization, personal records, diet, and protocol is often just a sophisticated way of not feeling. Some develop a disordered relationship with training. Guilt when they miss a day. Anxiety when they skip one session. Others build social armor. Physically imposing. Emotionally unreachable. Strong on the outside, frozen on the inside. Alexithymia is difficulty identifying and processing emotional states. It's very common in male socialization patterns. And the gym, when it becomes escape, reinforces exactly this. You don't need to feel. You just need to lift more weight. Displaced pain doesn't disappear. It finds other exits. Rage at the wrong moments. Sabotaged relationships. Isolation. The man who never stopped to grieve what really happened will carry it for years, no matter how much weight he lifts. But research shows something about the men who do make it out the other side. And it isn't what you would expect. The men who genuinely heal through the gym share exactly one characteristic. Just one. But it changes everything. At some point, they stopped lifting for her, or against her, and started for a reason with nothing to do with the past. The turning point is rarely dramatic. No epiphany at the barbell. No tears in the locker room. It's a quiet moment. It's when the mirror stops representing her judgment and starts representing his curiosity about who he might become. Tedeschi and Calhoun studied post-traumatic growth for decades and identified the conditions for it to actually occur. The central condition isn't how much you suffered. It's whether you were able to rebuild the meaning of what happened. Not accept in the sense of it's fine, but reconstruct. This event is part of a larger story I am still writing now. The body can be a vehicle for genuine psychological change, but only paired with conscious narrative reconstruction. Desai and Ryan show that intrinsic motivation, doing something for who you want to become, produces lasting well-being. Extrinsic motivation, lifting for her to see, to prove something, produces temporary progress and chronic emptiness. The body changes. The hole doesn't close. Because the hole was never about the body, never about how much you lift. And this brings us to the final question. The one almost nobody asks about the guy who hit the gym after his breakup. The deepest story isn't about fitness. It's about what happens when your identity is built entirely on being loved. And that's the foundation, and the relationship ends. It isn't just a person who leaves. The whole foundation goes down. Contingent self-esteem is the state where your value as a person depends entirely on external events and other people. A grade, a promotion, the body she should have stayed for. When things go well, you feel whole. When they don't go well, you fall apart. And the real work is building an identity that doesn't need external validation to stand on its own. Jung called this individuation, the long path of becoming a self that exists beyond the roles you happen to occupy. Not the boyfriend, not the ex, not the guy with the body she should have stayed for. Simply you, for your own reasons. The men who genuinely transform don't become unrecognizable to the ex. They become unrecognizable to the version of them that needed her approval to feel whole. That is the difference. And it's enormous, bigger than any weight on any bar. Go back to the image we started with. The gym at 5 in the morning. This man lifting alone in complete silence. He isn't broken. He isn't pathetic. He isn't delusional. He's doing the most human thing possible, trying to keep going, trying to rebuild himself after being dismantled from the inside. And that deserves respect, not easy outside diagnosis. But the question that lingers, the one that actually matters, isn't how much he lifts or what his body looks like now. It's whether, at some point, he'll be able to stop. Put the bar down long enough to feel what actually happened to him. Because the grief he never did will wait, patiently, without rushing, regardless of how many sets he does before that. The gym gave him a body. The question is whether it gave him a self, or whether that work he still has to do on his own. If this video hit something real for you, not because it was motivating, but because it was honest, leave a comment. Just one word. The word that describes what you were really feeling the very first time you walked into that gym.